Are real-world psychic experiments happening in secret? And what sinister purpose lies behind them? In this chilling episode, we dive into the shadowy world of secret psychic experiments and the agendas behind them. Inspired by the eerie undertones of Fringe, this tarot reading explores real-world possibilities. Are these experiments still happening? Who's being targeted? And what kind of power is being uncovered in secret? The answers may be more disturbing than you think. Hello everyone, welcome back, and welcome if this is your first time on my channel. We're going to hop right into this Fringe-inspired episode 2 with the first question. Are secret psychic experiments happening in the world today? We're going to start with Oracle, as we always do, and then find out what the tarot has to add to the information we get. So we're going to split these, pull our first card, which is 2012 or 2012. And to tell you right away, right off the bat here, is if you hear snoring in the background, that will be my Chihuahua contributing to our video, snoring away. Okay, coming up with the second card for question 1, we have bringing up baby. Whoops, I don't do jumpers in these readings, so we have to tuck that back in there. All right. Hardest part of any tarot program, isn't it? Having to deal with the shuffling, but it's all a part of it if we want to get accurate information. Okay. All right, so then we have you can do magic. And the question again, are secret psychic experiments happening in the world today? So we have 2012 here. And looking at the picture, I'm going to say the answer to the question about secret psychic experiments happening in the world today, it's a yes. This person seems to be on their own. Kind of like you would think if somebody were to meditate and be able to do out-of-body travel or just go high in the mind. And that would be part of psychic training, I would think. So I'm going to take this card as a yes. And I feel like here that it's saying a lot of the individuals that are doing this are children. It says bringing up baby. Children being trained from a very young age. And wherever these experiments take place, these secret psychic experiments, wherever they take place, the people are taken there, and she's blindfolded in this boat. I believe they're blindfolded so that they don't know where they are, because they want to make sure that these people will stay. And if they don't know where they are, kind of difficult to go back home. Then it says you can do magic. So yes, they are teaching these individuals psychic abilities, or they are watching through experimentation what these individuals actually can do psychically. So then we have gorillas in the mist. We have charade or charade. And we have War of the Worlds. So I feel like here they're saying that some of these psychic experiments have to do with animal communication. Some of these are people who, because they're so afraid, they pretend to the best of their ability. They kind of play charades because they don't know what to expect. If they get something wrong, they have no idea what punishment they're going to get. Have they been mistreated? We don't know that. However, they're in a strange place. They've been taken blindfolded. They're either blindfolded or knocked out, one or the other, and they end up in a place that they have no idea where they are. So some of them fake it. And then there's others of them who perhaps are being trained to communicate with aliens from different worlds, different planets. Maybe they end up being, well, we have War of the Worlds here, so maybe they end up being moderators. Is that the word I want? Referees between different races of otherworldly beings to try to keep them from going to war. Or perhaps it is just to contact for the first time. So let us see what tarot has to say. We can pretty much say for sure that there are secret psychic experiments happening. And again, if you're just tuning in and you're hearing strange snoring, that is my Chihuahua. Okay, so we have Knight of Swords. So yes, they're definitely communicating on a higher level. They're actually doing it. So it's not like somebody just said, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. No, they are actually doing it. So they're getting into the higher mind, as we see in the 2012 card, getting into the higher mind and actually communicating with what we have here or possibly even others. And then we have the Hermit. Yes, these children are raised in a very isolated place. They perhaps play with one another, maybe, but for the most part, the children are on their own, very isolated, and by the time they're grown and they're old, it looks like they're going to be very wise people. And then we have Queen of Swords. So yes, the truth of it is they go blindfolded and they have no idea where they are. However, they are spoken to nicely. They are told the truth when they say, you know, why are you taking me? Well, we're going to take you to a secret place and we're going to have you join in some experiments. They are truthful to them. They are cared for there. They're fed well, and so they're not mistreated other than the fact that they were taken. Okay, so the Hierophant says you can do magic. And if you look at this card, it looks like quite the magical card. The Hierophant is a teacher, so they're being taught also by someone else who has psychic ability, but that person is also testing what kind of psychic ability he can perhaps learn from them also. Gorillas in the Mist, we have King of Swords. Now we notice we have Knight of Swords, Queen of Swords, King of Swords. So this is definitely a way of communicating. And this communication, this psychic communication right now is very structured. The whole process is very structured. For instance, if someone is learning to speak to animals, it's a very structured program. And then we have the Magician. Yes, some of these people are faking it. They're being tricksters because, again, it says you can expect the unexpected when they play. So because they have no idea, again, what they're there for, other than, I mean, they've been told we're going to do secret psychic experiments. However, they don't know where they are. So They maybe don't want to cooperate, but they're playing the game, not really giving truthful information. And then we have the Emperor. I feel as though whoever does these experiments feels like if they can get people to a level of psychic ability that outshines anyone else, that they can become rulers of the world, or maybe many worlds. So that may be the reason why, but at any rate, they want to be powerful, the most powerful. And how to do that? Train people with psychic ability, or train people to have psychic abilities, which can encompass a lot of different things. So let us get this cleaned up and we will move on to question 2. We have 7 questions in total for this reading. And for those of you who are new, my process of cleaning up my cards is a little more involved than you might normally see, but I do this because I want to make sure that the cards are good and mixed for these readings. And sometimes shuffling does not do the job. I end up getting a lot of the same cards, and this way we know if we get the same cards, they're important. All right. So moving on to question 2, what dark purpose fuels these secret psychic experiments? Now, we already know that whoever's doing it wants to be powerful, wants to rule the world or many worlds. But maybe it'll give us a little bit more. It says, going my way. Oh, almost forgot to split. It's a Wonderful Life. If you see me looking over to the left, it's because I'm making sure that the cards I'm putting on here you can see. That's my computer monitor over there. Out of the Past. And Singing in the Rain. Singing in the Rain. Okay, so what dark purpose fuels these secret psychic experiments? These are people that go their own way. They want life to be the way they want life to be. They want to be able to do whatever they want to do without having any repercussions whatsoever. So they're going their way, and to them, this is a wonderful life. Even if the people that they are taking for these psychic experiments aren't real pleased with being where they are, they do their best to give them a good life where they are, and that works really well for these guys. Out of the Past, I feel like they're pulling some psychic experiments that they've found in the past, psychic experiments that may have been done way, way back. Maybe even some tests, for instance, during the witch trials, not necessarily Salem, but there were some in England as well. Sometimes there were tests that they would do on people that they deemed were witches, and it wasn't always drowning or anything like that. They may be testing from old books that they have found. And I feel like they've been getting some pretty good results out of what they've been doing in these psychic experiments. We have Let It Be, 1, and The Great Escape. Apparently the secret is to trust in the process. Give it time. They have to allow the people that they take to get used to the idea that they're going to be pretty much on their own for quite a long time, if they're ever allowed to leave. And maybe it gets to the point where they really don't want to leave, and where we saw bringing up baby in question number 1, if that's all those children remember, that's home to them. So some of them might have major ache of separation because, they've left children or loved ones, whatever they've left behind. And they might feel really, really empty. And they may also try to escape more than once. Whether or not any of them ever do escape, we don't know. Not yet anyway. So we're still waiting to find out if there's a dark purpose other than the emperor wanting to rule the world, which is a pretty dark purpose anyway. Maybe that's why we're not being given an answer here. But let's see what tarot has to say. So we have the High Priestess. And these people really like the mystery of what they're doing. They really enjoy going behind the curtain, so to speak, going beyond the veil and getting information that nobody else can get. And I feel like some of these people that do these secret psychic experiments, some of them are very psychic as well. Thus, the wanting to pull more psychic individuals together. King of Pentacles. Well, King of Pentacles is the ultimate life card. It is the king. He has the perfect life. It's fantastic. Has all the money he needs. He has all the structure he needs. He's in charge of his kingdom, etc. So it's a wonderful life. Same kind of scenario. Just a card to say, yep, that's how it is. And Knight of Swords. So this is, again, active communication. So it seems like some of the information that they've gotten from books, old journals, things like that. When I say old, we're going back a long way, okay? Could be 15th century, 16th century, might be going back to Nostradamus, who knows? Anyway, it is active communication that they are working toward in a psychic manner. And then we have the Fool. They take some risks, but each one of these new experiments seems to be doing really, really well. They're singing in the rain, and it's what a glorious feeling. Let It Be. We have the Five of Cups. With Let It Be, it was learning to trust in the process. And with the Five of Cups, sometimes the emotions kind of get in the way of the intuition and things look pretty bad. The people that they take occasionally break down. And we have the Five of Swords. Yeah, they're very sad that they're no longer able to talk to their loved ones, that they don't know where they are, and eventually perhaps they get used to it. Ace of Cups. And then there's those who try to use their psychic ability maybe in a number of ways to try and figure out how to escape. Their intuition, they know, can offer a lot of interesting things, a lot of ways in which to perhaps plan their escape. Maybe they can talk to one another. Again, we have, well, pentacles and swords and cups here. The only thing that we don't have are wands, which is fire, passion. There's no passionate energy in the people that are being taken, but there sure is from the people who have taken people to do these secret psychic experiments, okay? As for a dark purpose that fuels this, it's not really showing us. Again, we knew from question 1 with the Emperor that they want to rule the world. So we're just going to have, and other worlds, we're just going to have to go with that because this one is not giving us anything. It is showing how pleased they are at being able to do these experiments and what the people that they take are feeling like, at least to start with. So let us go ahead and move on to question 3 and see what comes of that. So I think the people that are, running this facility think everything is going fine. They do their best to take care of the people that they've taken and to encourage them and so forth, to be able to get them to perform. But every once in a while, like any human, the sadness will come in. And then, of course, obviously, they would probably have to stop some of the experiments for a little while to get, to allow these people to get a grip and be able to feel good about what they're doing. Okay, so question 3. Are the experiments being conducted on both children and adults? Now we know that there's children here. We've seen that with bringing up baby. It hasn't been proven yet or shown yet that the adults that are there, if there are adults there, I'm assuming there are. Age of Aquarius, let the sun shine in. But it's not giving any indication specifically for adults. And whether, if the adults are there, maybe they're there for the children, not necessarily for the experiments. Okay. The night they drove old Dixie down. Okay. Fear. And signs. Let's get started with that. All right, so with the age of Aquarius, let the sun shine in. It feels like these people that do the psychic experiments, it looks like that they have based their timing on the age of Aquarius. This is where there's cosmic awakening going on. There's collective abilities that are coming to the foreground. So they figure that the psychic abilities, talents will be able to come forth a lot more in this age of Aquarius. Now again, we're looking at, are the experiments being conducted on both children and adults? The night they drove old Dixie down, they do go after adults. It says human strength. So I'm taking that to mean they have adults as well, because children wouldn't be very strong. And they have a harder time gathering the adults, and they have a harder time working with the adults because the adults go into mourning. And the adults are definitely more fearful than the children are. I believe that the people who are doing the psychic experiments, they look for specific signs in the adults that they take. What those signs are, we have no idea at this point. It might share with us here shortly, but I think they look for signs so that they don't have to go through this quite as strongly as would normally be. So we have Who Framed Roger Rabbit, This Gun's for Hire, and Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds. I think they look for adults who have kind of a childlike way about them. Perhaps it is adults who are mentally handicapped in some way, but yet, or autistic maybe, but a lot of times these individuals have incredible abilities, such as being amazing with math or something like that. So I feel like that's what they look for. And they follow the signs and decide if this is something that they can work with or not work with. Sometimes it's necessary for them to get rough about things. I don't think it's ever to this extent, This Gun's for Hire, but you never know. They do, however, or can, however, really terrify people, the adults, to get them to do what they're supposed to do, maybe to get them out of the fear mode. And this may be a fear tactic too. So let's see what more is being said here with the tarot. I think that if this is the case, I think, and they're working with autistic or mentally handicapped or some kind of handicapped people, that they have to be high functioning, because I don't, even though they care for them, I don't see them needing to be doing everything for them. So they have to be high functioning. Okay, so we have the Seven of Wands. Yeah, they're defending what they're doing. The people who are doing these psychic experiments with people, they are very defensive about what they're doing, because they literally feel like it is the time. The age of Aquarius is the time to get all this put together. And with the Three of Pentacles, they don't gather these people by themselves. They work together. Whoever is a part of this and whoever's been hired to do it, they work together. Then we have the Three of Wands, and it's growing. The number of adults that they have is growing. I think it started out quite small, and the Three of Wands, much of the energy that they deal with is fear energy, for sure. But they keep moving forward with things regardless. And with signs, we have the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, when the seed is planted and they see somebody that they think would be a good candidate, they follow those signs. Then we have the Sun. And then the signs will let them know if this person is one of those who can bring clarity to the foreground, who can illuminate some part of their psychic experiments, who can see with incredible clarity. And then we have the Page of Wands. Yeah, this is just a message for show. They just let these adults know that, hey, this is a possibility. It's more of a scare tactic. That's the message that they put out. That's the energy that they give off. But I don't think that's what they they obviously don't want to get rid of somebody who has amazing talent. And then we have the magician. Yeah, they aren't exactly what you would call kind. If the tactics that they have to go to are ones to scare the living bejesus out of these adults, they'll do it if they have to. But it is, I don't think it ever comes to actually harming anybody. Could be wrong, but I don't think it does. So let us move on to question 4 here after we clean things up. You almost feel like if they just would offer some money or offer opportunity for people to volunteer to do some of this stuff, maybe they would have better luck. But it always seems as though it has to be covert, and where they have to keep everything so secret that it ends up being like this, where they steal people and they steal children, and, you know, allegedly, of course. And of course, I haven't said who they is, but I'll leave that to your imagination. All right, so question 4. Are the subjects of these experiments willing or unwilling? Now, we did see some of the adults they do have some issues with, and they're just getting into having more adults. So in general, we're just going to ask in general, are the subjects of these experiments willing or unwilling? The fog. Dances with wolves. Spirit in the sky. And the Patriot. All right, so with the fog, it seems that when they get individuals there, whether children or adults, the children might be a little bit young, some of them, and they probably have specifics for that. But I think that they don't really share with them right away what it is that they will be doing. Everything is kind of a fog because suddenly they're someplace that they've never been before, and they're being asked to do, and for children it might seem like fun games, but they're not giving all the information. They can't see exactly what the purpose of all of this is. With Dances with Wolves, this is where they're getting to know one another and getting to know what is expected of them, and maybe perhaps some why of it, but not a lot. They just know what's expected, and they know what they can do and not do and so forth. With Spirit in the Sky, I think this is probably what gets them all turned to working with these psychic experiments, is being able to, I'm going to say, communicate with a past loved one, communicate with a spirit guide, communicate with an angel, something like that, something that they'd never ever been able to do before. I think this turns the tables for them, and they become on board with the whole psychic experiment situation. A Knight's Tale. junk food junkie, and 39 steps. Yeah, they're becoming something that on the outside world, they would have never had the opportunity to become, I feel. And once they start having success with some of these psychic experiments, it's like the junk food junkie. They have cravings. It's kind of guilty pleasures. In other words, as we saw before, some of them go into kind of a depressive funk, but they want to keep doing this. The 39 steps, I just feel like this is saying there are many steps to learning the psychic abilities, many different experiments to be a part of. And so it's not like anything that's an overnight situation, but that doesn't seem to matter. So at this point, I think we can safely say that once they get started and they get their first opportunity to have an experience, I think then they're pretty well on board. So let's see what tarot says. We have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, it's kind of left up to their imagination, their intuition at first. What am I doing here? Why did you take me? What do you want from me? I don't understand. Why am I here? That kind of thing. There's a lot of things going through their mind, and their hearts are probably quite sad too, because, depends on where they've been taken from and from whom. So we have Queen of Swords for Dances with Wolves. And that is a huge truth card, a communication truth. The people who are running these experiments, they begin to be truthful with the people, and they start getting to know each other, like in Dances with Wolves with the Native Americans and the soldier. They start sharing truths. Then we have the Queen of Pentacles. Yes, this gives them the opportunity to meet someone that they left behind, somebody that they loved, or a person that passed on, or again, a spirit guide, an angel, something like that. But since it's the Queen of Pentacles, I'm more leaning towards past loved ones. The Ten of Cups. Yeah, this is where everything falls into place. Everything is happy. It is like the ultimate intuition card. So the Patriot would be somebody who really believes in what they're doing, and that's where the Ten of Cups comes in. Their intuition is so hot. Their psychic ability is so hot, and they have a heart for it now. Six of Cups. Yeah, they can remember where they were before, at least the adults. At least the adults do. Maybe some of the children can too. We have children in the card. And they're kind of nostalgic about it, but they really like who they're becoming. We have the Four of Swords. Yeah, they're not stable yet. It is a junk food junkie situation. They're not stable yet. They spend a lot of time in contemplation and learning to believe in themselves, to communicate with themselves, but they're not stable with what they're doing yet. Maybe when they become stable, more used to doing what they're doing, and it's not as much of a novelty as it is at the start, they may change their mind about their willingness. Nine of Swords. Yeah, I think they worry that they're not going to get it. They worry and have some sleepless nights over failed experiments sometimes. I don't think they get punished for them or anything like that, but they, again, they enjoy the junky feel, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to say, at the start anyway, they are at first very confused. Once they get their first experiment, then they're on board. A few more good happenings, then they're really on board. So I'm going to say, once they get used to being there, that they are definitely willing participants. So we will move on to question 5 after cleanup. Okay. Everything wants to slide, so I'm trying to keep the cards from sliding into one another. Okay. Question 5. What hidden knowledge is being discovered, and is it dangerous? It's a really good question, actually. $20.12 again, in the same position. The postman. Oop, come back. Those have to go back in there. I would love to be able to sleep as well as my Chihuahua does. Cat people. And the Princess Bride. To reiterate the question, it's what hidden knowledge is being discovered, and is it dangerous? So when we look at 2012, what we saw before was people going into their higher mind. However, it says here we were warned. I feel like if you remember back to 2012, that was when the Mayan calendar ended. And it was believed that something really bad was going to happen in 2012. It didn't. Nothing horrifying happened. At least not on a end of the world scale, right? But I feel like they're saying here that it is possible that what is being done here, what's being learned, the experiments that are being done and with more practice, how powerful these individuals can become. I feel like it's possible that something bad could happen. But also, since these two are both apocalypse type cards, I feel, and this one says restored United States of America, I feel as though this could also be a very good thing. So it can be used for good, it can be, or for bad, it can be used for good. So no matter what, they're not going to come out with any of this. It's going to be very covert for quite some time. And if you have a cat, you know how sneaky they can be. Well, that's pretty much it. They will only come out at night, so to speak. So if they have to do any testing outside of wherever they are, they will be like cat people. They will only go out at night, being as sneaky and covert as they can possibly be. Now, if you've seen The Princess Bride, you know that it has magic in it, adventure, love, and if you look at the card, there's a lot of light here. So I feel like the people who are actually doing the psychic things, learning the talents, learning to expand upon what they already have. I feel like they are very light people. In other words, they have a love for humanity. Thus, the Patriot card also that we saw. So I think it could be dangerous, obviously, but these people, that's not what they want. They don't want it to be dangerous. They don't want it to be dark. So let's move forward. Out of the past again. Witchy woman. And transformation. Okay, so part of this, I think, is these people probably know what happened in times past, where anybody that was even a little bit different was burned at the stake or drowned or whatever other horrifying, torturous things they could do to somebody that was different. They know about it. They do. They know about these things. But they realize that they are not necessarily special. This is a power that pretty much anyone can have. Psychic abilities. The more you practice, the better you get at it. The more transformed you become. The more powerful you become. So yes, these experiments can definitely be dangerous, or not the experiments, but what they discover can definitely be dangerous in the wrong hands. But it can also help humanity as well, depending on whether the people stay dark or light. They can go either way. So let's see what tarot has to add here. I think that should have gone on the bottom. What is it? Okay, so we have the Nine of Cups. That's a wish card. There are definitely people who would like the world to end, who would like to, who aren't really satisfied with the way life is for them, for how life has treated them. There are some who definitely wish that the world would end. And we have the Four of Wands, and there's those who are very happy to call Earth home. Very happy to call Earth home. It has a wonderful vibe for them, and they would do anything they could to protect it. And then we have Six of Pentacles. This is a card of giving and, well, sharing, being generous with other humans. However, the people who do these psychic experiments, who began them, they really don't want to put that out in the open as yet, if they ever do. But the people who are actually doing the work would like to share what they have, but not yet. Ace of Swords. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could happen to these people if they come forward too soon. And there's also a lot of amazing things that can happen just with thought. The potential is, and if you think about the Princess Bride, neither one of them could get the other out of their mind. Eventually they came back together. It's as though they manifested that. And it's kind of the same with the Ace of Swords. There are so many ideas, so many ways to communicate, so many writings that share magical things, psychic things, but they can definitely be, because there's so many possibilities, it can be very dangerous. Five of Pentacles. Yeah, out of the past, there was definitely, some pretty awful things that happened in the past to people who had specific abilities that nobody understood. And we have the World. Yeah, it was definitely anybody considered a witch the world over pretty much for a while. That was just a no-no, or anybody who was different in any way. Nowadays, there's many different kinds of magical beings or magical people, and you may not call them magical. They're just very learned people, such as shamans and medicine man, medicine woman, and just the list is there. And then for transformation, we have Three of Wands. And this is what happens when the talent grows. These people are transformed. So I'm going to say, with what hidden knowledge is being discovered and is it dangerous, they're discovering a lot of different abilities that they have. Some of it seeming pretty magical. Some of it from the past, though they're very careful with that. And they still are keeping it in the dark, even though the ones doing it would rather bring it forward, because in the wrong hands, it could be very dangerous. In the right hands, it can do amazing things. So let us pick these up and move on to question 6. I do hope you're enjoying this reading. Sometimes as I'm reading, I get so serious. I don't mean to. It's who I am. But anyway, if you're enjoying this content, please feel free to like and subscribe, perhaps share, because that really grows the channel. And also comment. I love comments. I like reading them, and I would love to hear from you. All right, so moving on in just a sec to question 6. We have, are there any subjects of these secret psychic experiments who are powerful enough to be used for a dark purpose? So we don't really know when things got started. Since we've had the card 2012 twice, I'm going to guess maybe things got started in 2012, but that's just a guess on my part. And so that's been, if that were the case, it's been a lot of years now that we've had people learning psychically, using psychic talents. So that they could have come a long way by now. So first card, we've got cat people again. I couldn't remember, since I was yapping, I couldn't remember if I had split that deck or not. Okay. Next card. Seven Days Leave. Bird Box. Had that at the start too, with in the same position. Okay. And Abandoned. So again, the question is, are there any subjects of these secret psychic experiments who are powerful enough to be used for dark purposes? Yes. That is a yes, because cat people, according to this, she was marked with the curse of those who slink and court and kill by night. So yes, there are some of them that, if pulled forward to do so, probably could be dangerous or used for something dark. At this point, it's kind of all talk. There maybe has been conversation about using it in certain situations. maybe using it against people in general. If you've ever seen the movie Bird Box, it's kind of a scary movie. It really is a scary movie, the whole situation, because they're blindfolded because they can't look at what is out there. They just can't, or something happens to them. And I don't really want to ruin the movie for you if you haven't seen it. It's a good movie, in my opinion. Sandra Bullock is really terrifying in it. But she plays an incredible part. She really does. And then, like I said, the idea of that seems to have been abandoned for now. It's all talk at this point. The Blob. Karate Kid. And Summer. So with the Blob, they've probably abandoned it because they're really not clear on what could happen. Nobody knew what the Blob could do, okay? Same with these people who could be powerful enough to use something for a dark purpose. They really don't know how powerful they are. They really don't know how dark they can get. Maybe, just maybe, it would be something they would use if defense had to be done, okay? If they had to defend themselves or they had to defend a cause, maybe. But until something like that happens, nobody's really going to know. Until it hits the light. Until this person comes forward into the light, nobody's going to know one way or another. Or these people, not this person, these people. Certainly there's more than one. All right, so moving on to tarot to see if it gives us any more information. We have the Devil. Yeah, these people are powerful and they don't necessarily have the best interests of others to heart. Then we have Knight of Wands. There were those who didn't want to just talk about it. There were those who wanted to actually act on it. Act on, I'm thinking this. Let's pull another card. Justice. Some of them felt as though there's people out there who deserve something to happen to them. And the justice was put them through something treacherous, something terrible. Queen of Wands. Even though there were some people who were very passionate about the idea, it was still abandoned, at least for now. For now. And the Knight of Swords. A lot of talk, definitely a lot of talk about what would happen, but again, still abandoned. And the World. Yeah, it might be, some of these people might be very, very useful if the world needed to be defended somehow. We have the Chariot. If everything became illuminated, I think things would move very, very quickly. Or if it was necessary for the world to be defended, these people definitely might be called upon, because I feel like there's two kinds of people that have done these psychic experiments. There are those who are very loving and caring, and there's those who will use their power for whatever purpose is necessary. And if that means hurting people, they'll do it. They wanted to try it, just try it out, but they abandoned that idea because the energy just wasn't in light of what the whole purpose of these secret psychic experiments were to begin with. They were actually to defend the world. And if ever called upon to do this, they will come out into the light, and then things will flow so fast. All right, so let us move on to the last question. And let's hear my phone do its beep, beep, beep. Thought I muted that. Sorry about that. But between Chihuahua and phone, this is life. Just because I'm recording, and I used to feel like that. It's like when I'm recording, I needed everything to be quiet, and yeah, that was a battle I was never going to win because life happens. All right. So, with question 7, what force, if any, is trying to expose or stop these secret psychic experiments? Another good question. We have Dreamweaver. The Patriot. I Am Legend. The Postman. Okay, I feel like here that there are those people who don't believe that such a program actually exists. I think they believe it's just in the mind of imaginative people and it doesn't actually happen. And if they hear something otherwise, they can put the dream catcher over their bed and the nightmares, the bad thoughts will go away. So the question was, what force, if any, is trying to expose or stop these secret psychic experiments? There are those people who do call themselves patriots and believe that they have all the answers for the world, that they know exactly how a world should be run, and anything out of the norm is going to be a threat to them. These people, if they had it their way, they would make sure that all of them were destroyed and the only ones left were the patriots. So I Am Legend here. They would want to eliminate everyone that had psychic ability and start completely over, if at all possible. We have Signs, A Knight's Tale, and Sherlock Holmes and the Voice of Terror. If something like this would ever begin to happen, I think that the people who have these psychic abilities will receive signs to let them know that they either need to bring forth their psychic ability and be prepared to battle or be terrified about what they're hearing. I mean, it could go both ways, but you've always got people with hot air who believe that they know everything there is to know and what could and could not happen, and they don't care what consequences, they don't care what happens to people. They will forge forward with their belief. And they can cause some pretty damaging things. I mean, it can go to war and end up being like this. And if you think about it, again, these are both apocalyptic cards. This one was a sickness that caused it to happen from, I think it was they were trying to cure cancer, and what they gave to people was not a good thing. It ended up killing everyone off. And in the Postman, again, it's an apocalyptic thing. There were only so many left, and they were beginning to rebuild. So it's difficult because the people who are a part of these psychic experiments, remember, they also believe they're patriots. They also believe that they're doing good. What they're training for is to do good. They want to be somebody different than they currently are. But you've got a different kind of patriot that is, the voice of terror, that is threatening and wanting to make sure that they all are punished or killed. So let's see what the tarot has to say. All right, so with Dreamweaver, we have the Ace of Swords. So what the people we talked about with the Dreamweaver, that there are those people who would rather have their heads buried in the sand. But there's also those people who believe in psychic ability and who believe in healing ability and who have a great deal of faith in the Age of Aquarius talents and abilities that are supposed to be coming forward, right? And the Ace of Swords is the ideas are unlimited. The things that can happen with this kind of communication are unlimited. So these are two different kinds of people also. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles. This is the legacy card. What is it that you would like to leave as a legacy to your children? Is it where you have been a part of killing off all the people with psychic talent, psychic ability because of fear? Because you would have rather kept them in your dreams or as things that weren't actually real, not wanting to know the truth about anything. Then we have the Tower. Yeah, this would definitely be a Tower moment, wouldn't it? It would definitely be destruction at its very best. And the Knight of Wands. This is the idea that gets put into action to restore what has been destroyed, to make sure that the battle is won against those who would like to hurt those who have specific abilities. And the Chariot. Yeah, the signs will come fast. If this ends up being something, I mean, if there's something to this, the signs are going to come very, very fast to these psychics. Page of Swords. This is like the ultimate student. These people have worked really hard to become this other person, this knight. Somebody with honor and morals. The majority of them. The majority of those people who are psychically inclined and have been a part of these secret psychic experiments, they have worked really hard to have it happen, studied so hard. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. The Voice of Terror. Sherlock Holmes and the Voice of Terror. There are those out there who can project their voice in such a way that it is terrifying. They can convince people of pretty much anything, right? And here is the Page of Pentacles saying, please, the message really is, this is our life. We're just getting started. Don't destroy our lives. Don't destroy our world just because you don't understand it. So that is it for episode 2 of this Fringe-inspired series. Next episode, here's a teaser for you. Time travel might not be science fiction anymore. And some of you out there are going, well, of course not. If it's real and it's already happening, what ripple effect could destroy everything? So there's your teaser. And then on the screen, I have also put the show schedule because I do 3 different shows each week. So you can take a look at that and see if there's anything that is of interest. It also lets you know what time another Fringe-inspired show will be for next week. So I want to say thank you so much for being a part of this reading, and I look forward to seeing any comments that you have, and I'll do my best to respond to them. But until next week, have a great one. Take care.